Anybody know what that smoke is in lower Manhattan?
I'm sorry, say again?
A lot of smoke in lower Manhattan.
A lot of smoke in lower Manhattan?
Coming out of the top of the World Trade Center building, the major fire.
On September 11th, I was on my way to work, driving down the East River Drive, and I got a call that the North Tower was hit by a small plane. As I was walking in, I couldn't see anything. It was so far up. As you get close to a big building like that, you really can't see anything so far up. But I felt a thud. I could feel it about 10 feet away from me, and it was a person that had been driven out by the flames on the upper floors. That immediately startled me, of course, and you feel the sense of pain that that person must have been going through. The windows were already out on the first floor, and as I got into the lobby, the chiefs had already made a decision that they couldn't put the fire out because there were no water lines on the upper floors. Had been destroyed by the impact of the plane crash, which didn't make sense that it was a small plane.
1-5 to the training 7. Go right along, guys. What do you got up there, Chief? I'm still in Boy Stairway, 74th floor, no smoke or fire problem. The walls are breached, so be careful. Yeah, 10-4, I saw that on 68. All right, we're on 71, we're coming up behind you.
So the main concern would be to try and rescue as many people as they could below the impact zone. The firefighters were moving quickly, not in panic, moving their way up the stairs. And you could see on the faces at that time, on some of the older guys, a sense of maybe not fear, but concern that this was going to be a very tough operation. On the younger firefighters, you could see a different look, a kind of an excitement of the unknown, of being involved in an operation that would be talked about for a long time to come.
Tommy, it's imperative that you try to get down to the lobby command post and get some people up to 40. We got injured people up here on 70. If you make it to the lobby command post, see if they can somehow get elevators past the 40th floor. We got people injured all the way up here.
We were there a while, and we felt a vibration. The vibration we thought was an explosion on the upper floors. I went around the corner, and enormous sound of just a violent, can't even describe the sound, just rustling of debris and everything, and the dust came right over us when we were out in the street. Ran into a lobby, waited a few minutes till you could see. When it first happened, you couldn't even see, and your eyes were filling up. Started to walk a little further up, I had two of my guys with me trying to get as much information as they could. They said that South Tower had fallen. I said, how many floors? And they said the entire building, and I said, it can't be right. It has to be inaccurate. Try to get better information. Couldn't see anything at that point. The mayor said to me, how many of your guys will be in there? And I said, I don't know. I don't know how many got far enough up. Of course, in the South Tower, there was no warning because it was the second tower that was hit.
1, Battalion 9, he's on the floor above 79. We have access stairs going up to 79. Okay. All right, I'm on my way up, Oreo. 15 elevator, 15. Guys, 15 elevator, Battalion 7 operations, Tower 1. Stuck in the elevator shaft. You're going to have to get a different elevator. We're chopping through the wall to get out. Radio lobby command with that. Tower 1.
It was probably about 3 o'clock in the afternoon before I even talked to my wife. I felt pretty bad about that. The early reports were that I had been killed in the building. And I never even called her. But as the day went by, we started to get reports of all the people that we lost. And it just got worse as the day went by. It just got worse. You know, as bad as the day of September 11th was, it just continued to become more painful as the weeks went by, because we started to deal then with the grief and the death and talking to young mothers and fathers of guys I knew that had lost their son, searching for their son. For weeks we thought maybe we'd find somebody trapped that we'd be able to rescue. I mean, story after story of a good friend who had 2 boys, his only 2 children. One was a police officer, one was a hero police officer, had been shot. Another was a firefighter. Both of them lost that day. A woman whose husband was getting ready to retire, an old-timer. Son had just came on the job. Both of them lost that day. Woman that I had helped get her husband through horrible, horrible burns about 2-3 years before that. Finally gets back to full duty. Encouraged him, I had encouraged him to retire. Didn't have to, made a special boot for him and everything. He gets killed that day. It was one story after another for me, trying to get that done and deal with all the folks, and what they were going through was the hardest thing that I've ever done, and I hope that I ever have to do.